Hi Bret Hart families, Miss Macetic here. I am going to be making sugar cookie skulls with you today for our Booktober week. Today's theme is Dia de los Muertos, which is Spanish for Day of the Dead. It's traditionally celebrated November 1st and 2nd as a way to honor the loved ones of family members. So there are a couple things you're going to need today to get started. Obviously, we're making sugar cookies, so you're gonna need some sugar cookie mix. If you've got your own family recipe, go right ahead. But to be honest, as someone who loves to cook and make everything from scratch, I was also taught the trick very young that if there are little shortcuts that you can make that are just as fabulous as what you could do homemade, sometimes it's nice to take the shortcut. So I really do love these little bag cookie mixes. Shh, sorry, my puppy. And they taste really good. They're like $2 a jewel, really easy. They make about a dozen cookies or so, or more depending on the size you have, but it's really good. You're gonna need some sort of icing. I really like this royal icing by Wilton. Bring it a little closer. Again, it's one of those things where you could certainly make it from scratch with water, vanilla, powdered sugar, things like that. But you know, for a couple bucks, this is a really, really good, quick and easy recipe that turns out perfect every time. So if you don't have royal icing or don't want to go to the store, any sort of buttercream or vanilla frosting, white frosting will do. Yeah, the thing that's really nice about the sugar skull cookie recipe here is that really you can just kind of make the best of what you've got or what you have. And that includes then the cookie cutter. You know, some people might have a plethora of cookie cutters or have time to run to the store and grab a sugar skull, a skull-shaped cookie cutter. If you don't, no worries. You know, you can use any fun holiday cookie cutters that you have and sort of turn it into or decorate it in sugar skull motif, or just do drop cookies, which are just the circles that'll melt down into circles, and do the best you can with that. You know, certainly don't want to go out and spend money that we don't need to. This is supposed to be fun and simple, not something to stress about. However, this is the perfect time of the year to grab those skull-shaped cookie cutters. So if you do feel like it, run out and grab one now. And then what you're gonna need are things for decorating. Again, you can use what you've got, but a couple of suggestions I love. Wilton is a really big baking company name. You can find Wilton products at Jewel in the baking aisle. Michael's has an entire aisle of Wilton baking things, including sprinkles. So last year I bought these red eyes. They've got the little dot on there for when I did sugar skull cookies for a party. So you can grab some of those. They have all these really nice little bags of sprinkles that come in all different colors, shapes, and they're usually like $1 or $2. I think it's right around like $1.25 for most of them. And they come with a lot. So like here, I opened this for something else. I just taped it shut when I was done to preserve it. I have here some flowers from a spring activity that'll be really great for decorating. From Valentine's Day, I've got some red hearts that I figured out I can turn upside down, and they make a perfect nasal cavity for your sugar skulls. Or even get as wild and crazy as some snowflakes. I've got some snowflakes from holiday, you know, recipes, and I can pretend they're flowers, or, you know, make an Elsa inspired sugar skull cookie. So again, don't go crazy, use what you've got. If you do wind up going to the store, grabbing some, you know, save what's left over for next time or for another baking activity. Another trick for something that you can use to decorate your cookies could be your already purchased trick-or-treating candy. You know, take some of the M&Ms, the Nerds, whatever's nice and small, use that for decorating. Lastly, for decorating, and I did put this in the recipe that was sent out, were food coloring markers. So again, Wilton, can't go wrong. Wilton has come up with these edible markers, and It looks just like a regular marker. It works like a regular marker, but it's food coloring inside. So it is safe to eat. These are really nice because it'll allow you to decorate with some really great precision. Or I picked up some of the little gel markers. You know, a lot of these come in the baking aisle pre-colored, so you don't have to worry about mixing and things like that for your food dyes. So let's get started. I have already baked my sugar cookies. So I've got that ready to go, and I'm just gonna show you how to mix the royal icing if that's the way you choose to go, and how to apply it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a smaller bowl, because this is a pretty big container. It will allow you to decorate quite a few cookies. So I never like to mix right in that container because I might be able to save it for something else. But if I overmix it, or kind of already get it going, then it might go bad or not be what I want for the next project. So I always just try to take a spoonful. Just take a nice hunk. You gonna help me, Oliver? You can't eat any of this. I know you wish you could. All right, I'm gonna just take a couple spoonfuls. Then I'm going to put just a small dab of water to kind of help thin it out. What's nice is Wilton has made it on the thicker consistency, so that way you can make it how you prefer it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and mix it up. Mix it up. I know you want cookies too, but you can't have any. So, and also what's great about doing it separately is if you accidentally over thin it, put a little too much water, you can always grab another scoop and add it and make it the right consistency. So you kind of want where it's smooth enough that it drizzles, but not too thin that it is just gonna run right off your cookie. You want it thick enough that it'll stay on the cookie on where you want it, but not too thin that it just drips all over. All right, so I've got the right consistency here. Now, the next thing we are going to do is, actually, it is a smidge too thin for my liking. I am just gonna do one teeny tiny little scoop. I've washed my fingers, so I'm gonna use my finger to help kind of get all that excess off my spoon. Whenever you're baking, you're obviously gonna wanna be nice and sanitary. So I washed my hands before. I'm not gonna lick my finger. I'm gonna wash my hands after, because I'm gonna share these with my family and certainly don't want my licked fingers all over their cookies. All right, so now I'm gonna get to the icing part. So I'm gonna take a scoop of my icing. Now, one thing that a lot of decorators do use when they do these kinds of icing cookies is they'll use piping bags. I love piping bags. I use it for lots of my decorating, but to be honest, I'm not looking for super precision. This is just a fun baking activity, and it doesn't need to be perfect. So I'm not gonna waste a piping bag or my time filling a piping bag up with frosting. The spoon works really well. So you're gonna wanna just guide along your cookie, bring it to the edge as close as you want, giving a nice layer, not too thick, not too thin. And with the royal icing, you don't have to be, again, quite as precise, because even if you have that little dollop, that string that left, in about a few seconds, it's going to really just sort of all blend together nicely and create a smooth, flat surface. All right, while my icing is wet, I do like to apply, if I'm going to use sprinkles, my sprinkles now. That way they set into the frosting and stay in place. So I'm gonna just do some eyes. I've got my eyes here. All right, I've got my red heart that I'm using, like I said, as my nasal cavity. And I'm gonna leave that to dry. So I did some of these yesterday, so that way they can be nice and dry and I can hold it up to the camera and you can see. So that is what it looks like. I just have white frosting with 2 eyes and a nose. All right, I'm gonna show you one more time on a plain cookie. Get a good, nice scoop of frosting guide it across your cookie, getting it as close to the edge as you can. Again, the fun thing with doing cookies with kids is that if it does sort of slide off the edges, no worries. You could do a couple different things. You know, you can ignore it, pretend like it didn't slide off. Or when you're decorating your cookie, make it kind of silly, like the sugar skull face is melting. You know, this is Halloween, this is spooky, creepy, goofy time. So, you know, follow that mantra with your cookies. All right, so that one is nice and iced. I'm gonna go ahead and open up some of that Halloween candy that I have already purchased. All right, and I'm gonna use some of these. They were like little sweethearts, and plop some down as eyes. Again, I like to do this with the sprinkles when the icing is nice and wet. That way it can kind of be used as glue for those sprinkles. They're not gonna go anywhere. All right, and if you wait until it's dry, then you're gonna have to either use more icing or something as a way to stick into your sprinkles. So then I'm gonna give him some green teeth. All right. So there are a few components when you're decorating your sugar skulls that you really should follow to get that good sugar skull theme going. So here he is. Kind of looks a little bit like a snowman, but that's okay. All right, is that it needs eyes, a nose, and teeth. All right, I have here on some of my finished cookies, I've got decorated it already. I have given it its eyes, its nose. I drew with my pen the teeth, and then I did some decorations. All right, when you're decorating, sugar skulls traditionally have symmetry. That's where it is the same on two sides. It's like if you take a piece of paper and you fold it and you open it up, it's the exact same on both sides. All right, so now that my cookies are all iced, I do like to let them sit for at least a handful of hours, if not overnight, and decorate them the next day if you're gonna be using things like the edible markers or frosting, because the top of your frosting might be settled or hardened, but not all the way. So like yesterday, I got a little impatient and I was working on my Elsa themed cookie, and drawing the mouth was a little bit more difficult because the marker kind of kept pushing into the cookie, into the icing, where as you can see on this one, I've got really nice, crisp, clean lines. You know, I went around the eyes, the right eye's the same as the left. The decorations are the same on both sides of the face. So it does come out a little bit nicer and neater, but guess what? This cookie is gonna taste just as delicious as this one. So it just depends on how much patience you have. And again, using symmetry, having it be the same on both sides. So here I used some St. Patrick's Day sprinkles that I had, gave it a crown of shamrocks, used some golden eyes, but I did 3 lines on the right, 3 lines on the left, okay? And then I used the green marker for the mouth. So I'm gonna show you a trick for doing your teeth. All right, there's 2 ways that you can do it. I've got my edible pen, and I even have here, I kind of did a sample of, you know, if you don't have a cookie cutter and you just wanna have a nice round cookie, because that's all you've got, I made a drop cookie here, and we're gonna decorate it, and it's gonna be just as pretty. So with the mouth, you're gonna draw a line straight across, okay? Starts really simple. Then you're gonna give it lines up and down, sort of like if you were making stitches on a zombie or a Frankenstein. So let me give it some lines. You still wanna be careful with your pressure. You don't wanna push super hard into your cookie, but look how much nicer it goes in and looks with a much more firm frosting. Then you're gonna give it, you're just gonna connect with loops, almost like a number line, and you're jumping to the next one. You just go up and down, okay? And then you'll do that across the whole top and across the whole bottom, and then it's gonna give you nice symmetrical teeth. Same number on top as you do on the bottom. And there's your teeth, okay? So I'll show you a couple other examples of cookies that I made to give you some ideas. You know, that frosting that sort of dripped down a little bit. I went silly and kind of made his face. I used the gel this time, so it's gonna give you a little bit thicker of a look, but I made it look like his mouth was dripping down along with the frosting, right? Embrace the mistake, why not? All right, and then here, I didn't separate my cookies well enough on my tray and I got a flat part of the skull. So again, I embraced it with my decorations. And this one I did give it a little bit more of a smile. I felt like this one had a little smiley personality. So that's how I decorated it. Really, the most important thing is that you want to have fun. Don't stress if they're not the perfect shape. Don't stress if it's not the perfect frosting. And don't stress if you have all these sprinkles from different random holidays. Have fun with it. All right, and if you do have extra sprinkles, don't throw them away when you're done. Put a piece of tape, save it for later because you never know when you're gonna wanna have some goofy fun with cookies and decorating. I hope everyone has a great day making their sugar skulls and has a fun Booktober week. Happy Halloween, everyone. Bye.